After many years of uncertainty, Jet Airways will return to the aviation industry this year following it securing a new AOC. AOC being an air operator certificate that is crucial to allowing the airline to fly within our industry. The Indian aviation regulator were the ones who granted this license, and it actually comes after years of the airline being grounded with a lot of uncertainty over whether they would return. Now, however, the plan is for them to. With new ownership and also coming with that a significant amount of fresh funding, the airline won't be resuming in total capacity to which we once knew them, but at the very least they will return, with the end goal, however ambitious, to once again become one of India's leading carriers, and of course, the choice carrier for people within India. However, what cannot be ignored is since the airline collapsed, before the pandemic actually, following severe financial difficulties, the Indian aviation scene has changed drastically, with lots of new carriers emerging, and even on top of that, existing ones expanding their operations and becoming a better option than full-service carriers like that of Air India, which recently also was finally freed from the government and is now under new ownership. It means your low-cost carriers, which of course are not Jet Airways nor Air India, are becoming more favourable. And on top of that, more and more airlines are launching within the Indian aviation scene, hoping to claim this market. That means Jet Airways will be facing an uphill battle to be able to return to profitability consistently. It's set for a launch, or for better words, I guess, relaunch in the next quarter, that being the quarter stretching through to September. Obtaining the air operator's certification. Obtaining that air operating certification was the big final step they required to be able to carry passengers and once again function normally. The owner of the consortium that owns the airline said, "Today marks a new dawn for Jet Airways and the Indian aviation industry. We are now on the brink of creating history by bringing India's most loved airline back to the skies. We will not only live up to the great expectations from brand Jet Airways, but also exceed them in many ways for today's discerning flyers. We are committed to making this an extraordinary success story in Indian aviation and the Indian business. We are grateful to the NCLT, the Ministry of Civil Aviation, and the DGCA for supporting us at every step of our efforts to revive this airline. It's unclear at this stage just how the airline will fare upon its return, as I briefly mentioned earlier, or whether or not it will incur further financial difficulties upon relaunching. However, let's remain as optimistic as we can. I'm sure that their future can be more sustained and longer lasting to see them reel in the profits if they approach it in the right manner. Although, as I mentioned, that's going to be a lot more challenging following the recent shift in the past 3 years in the Indian aviation sector. If you have any thoughts on the return of Jet Airways to the wider aviation industry, you can let me know. Obviously, it's not the most common thing in the world to see an airline that, say, collapsed 3 years prior to now be returning, so it's definitely a welcomed sight.